l'affection et l'émotion est évidente. Quel bel éloge. Je veux inviter maintenant Christine et Nathalie et ensuite Léa qui ont préparé les paroles à partager avec nous.
We are our mother's daughters, so we might cry a lot. Il y a tellement de beaux mots qui serviraient à décrire notre maman. Elle avait elle-même choisi des adjectifs nécessaires si l'on voulait quelque chose d'elle. On devait toujours dire « petite maman chérie adorable que j'aime beaucoup ». Elle signait aussi ses courriels « petite maman chérie, .. pour s'épargner d'écrire les titres complets. Our mom was very smart. That, however, made it extremely difficult for us to be rebellious teenagers. We know it didn't stop us, and in fact, it might have made us smarter in the long run. She had such an intuition about bad stuff we were trying to get into. Something Papa someone lacked, which is why he always said, much to our chagrin, va demander à ta mère, go ask your mother, when we wanted to go out somewhere. My best friend Jody resented me only for one thing, how her mom's level of strictness always increased whenever she talked to ours. She's here. Years later, I had a heart-to-heart with Mama about those years, and she would tell me that she just knew about some stuff I did, just that she couldn't catch me red-handed despite her best efforts.
Mais depuis que nous avons des enfants à notre tour, nous avons finalement commencé à comprendre la nature de cette sévérité. Nous savons que c'était par amour et par volonté de nous protéger. We weren't the only ones who were subject to her knowledge of our doings and habits. For example, one time when Papa was out on one of his usual canoe trips, this time with a group, they were a day late in getting back home. Relatives of the other group members were worried and called my mom to ask if she would take any measures considering there was a small craft warning for that area. She said no, she wasn't worried, and if there was any danger at all, my dad would certainly be in a hammock somewhere reading a book.
Mama was known for many things, orchids and genealogy being some of the top ones. Often when we talked about someone, she would just somehow find a way to incorporate genealogy into the conversation and tell us just how we're related to them. Now we just assume we're related to everybody in St. Boniface. She even determined how we were related to Madonna, and we still have the family tree she gave us to prove it. She was also known for the many different meals she prepared. We'll never forget her oyster dip and her cheese ball, butter tarts, plum pudding, and her famous tourtière. Even Papa's canoeing buddies have had the pleasure of her homemade strawberry jam and fruitcake on every trip. We're pretty sure that Papa can fend for himself with regards to eating, but he will definitely miss Maman's cooking for the rest of his life.
Quand je suis devenue végétarienne, j'ai eu peur de lui annoncer parce que c'était toujours elle qui cuisinait et il y avait toujours de la viande dans les repas. Mais Maman a tout de suite accepté et prenait plaisir à chercher de nouvelles recettes pour m'accommoder. Elle a même su me faire une tourtière spéciale à Noël, une recette que je ne sais pas si j'aurai le courage de reproduire parce que ça lui aura pris 14 heures à confectionner. Autre chose à noter, la passion de Maman pour la langue française. Si je maîtrise autant le français aujourd'hui, c'est bien grâce à Maman. Elle m'a toujours corrigée dès mes premières années primaires jusqu'à la fin de ma maîtrise. Et je présume que c'est la raison pour laquelle maintenant plusieurs gens, incluant Papa, me demandent de réviser leurs textes. Je le ferai dorénavant avec d'autant plus de plaisir en pensant à ma mère.
Watching a movie or a television show with her didn't happen without certain challenges. Years ago it was the crying. It didn't have to be very sentimental either. She even cried during most episodes of Beverly Hills 90210. That was eventually replaced by her amazing capability of falling asleep just about anywhere. She would agree to go see a movie with us at the theater, provided it was loud enough to cover up her snoring. The last one we saw was Harry Potter. At home, VCRs and more recently PVR allowed her to rewind time and time again, a necessity if she was to get through an entire program. She reached a new level when she started falling asleep while rewinding. Many people who knew her knew that she loved to watch Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. In fact, she was a fan of game shows in general, and she even participated in a few. She was also a hardcore Macintosh fanatic. We learned to use a computer on one of the earliest models that came out, and I would always inherit Mom's old Macs whenever she upgraded to a newer model. My dad, however, never learned to use a Mac. He would say theirs was a mixed marriage. She was a Mac and he was a PC.
We will miss our mom for so many reasons. Some of the things that will stay with us forever are the way she always smiled, the way she laughed, and the way she always made us laugh. L'humour était un incontournable chez maman. Elle était très taquine et il n'y avait pas un jour qui passait sans qu'elle ne fasse une blague quelconque. Like her mom, Grandma, she disliked cheesy or sentimental cards. Cards had to be humorous to be acceptable.
Mom always took care of things for everyone. Papa described us to us her last words. C'est okay, je m'en occupe. No, I'll take care of it. A few simple words that embody her persona so well. That of a doting wife, mother, sister, daughter, and friend. Despite her deteriorating health, the things she did for my sister and I never changed. She cooked just as much as she always had. She always made sure the house was clean when we came to visit. And she always thought of ways to help us with just about anything. Elle s'occupait de nous à un tel point qu'il est maintenant difficile de savoir quoi faire sans elle.
Nous avons été témoins d'un véritable amour inconditionnel entre maman et papa. Ensemble, ils formaient un partenariat modèle et un exemple parfait de ce qu'est l'amour avec un grand A. Pour tout l'amour que tu nous as donné, à papa, à nous et à nos chers enfants. Merci, maman chérie, adorable qu'on aime beaucoup.
Ma mère était une personne extraordinaire. Je l'aimais beaucoup, je l'aime beaucoup. Quand je pense à elle, je pense à quand je venais la visiter en hiver. Elle m'enregistrait des émissions de patinage artistique et on les regardait ensemble. Je pense qu'à lorsque c'était ma fête et qu'elle m'amenait magasiner des vêtements pour moi. Je pense aussi à sa bonne soupe qu'elle faisait, la soupe à ma mère. Je me rappelle aussi à chaque rentrée scolaire, elle m'achetait quelque chose de spécial pour l'école. Quand je regarde des photos d'elle, les larmes me montent aux yeux et les souvenirs me montent à la tête. Je pourrais tout vous les dire, mais ça prendrait au moins 100 ans avant d'en venir à bout. Quand je l'ai vue au visionnement avant l'incinération, je voulais crier et tout casser. Ce n'était plus la même, elle était toute froide et son visage était tout boursouflé. Elle a été en quelque sorte épargnée de souffrance et de douleur en mourant subitement. C'est dur pour une personne de perdre son indépendance. C'était très dur pour elle d'imposer à ses proches d'être toujours là, de tout faire pour elle et de ne plus pouvoir faire ce qu'autrefois elle aimait faire. Elle était professionnelle avec la langue française. Elle était franche et disait ce qu'elle pensait. Quand je venais la visiter, elle me faisait faire des cahiers français. Elle me poussait à réussir et à continuer, mais je n'aimais vraiment, et j'avoue que je n'aimais vraiment pas ça, mais je m'en avais besoin. Et maintenant, je me rends compte que ça m'a beaucoup aidé. Elle sera toujours là pour nous. Elle sera toujours là dans nos cœurs, dans nos pensées, dans notre esprit. Elle a rejoint les gens qu'elle aimait et attend les gens qu'elle aime.
I'd like to invite, thank you, merci. A couple members of the Pellerin family, please, I think, coming up.
was the oldest of 7 children. With being the oldest, she was the pride and joy of Mom and Dad. This also meant that there were many more pictures of her as a baby than any of us combined, especially me. Not that anybody counted. She was so special that when she decided to take piano lessons, Mom and Dad bought her a piano to practice on. Just imagine a big, old, upright piano in the living room of a 700 square foot house with 9 people. Does anybody remember ever hearing her play it? Pat, on occasion, may have been a bit bossy, but as the oldest, that was her job. She was also an ardent debater. She fought with me all the time. Who believed any debate worth having was worth finishing to the bitter end, no matter how many rounds it might go. Fortunately for her, she was blessed with many equally combative people in her life. We all felt that as the oldest, the onus was on her to lower Mom and Dad's expectations for the rest of us. But Pat was an A student, and excuse the expression, Christine, a goody two-shoes. So she failed us miserably and left me to blaze the trail for the rest of us. In the early years, we were a very close family, gathering nightly, willingly, around the living room to say the beads, the rosary. We were the closest, of course, when the 9 of us crammed into a 52 Ford to travel to the beach, to the farm, or Dad would just drive around roaming aimlessly all of Sunday. Pat, being the oldest, was the first to break away and do things on her own. Her studies became her priority, and after Pat met Roger at college, family became secondary. Pat married Roger, and at first she participated in most of Roger's activities, camping, hiking, fishing, etc. But eventually she preferred to let Roger go off on his own so she could stay at home and concentrate on her own varied interests: gardening, cooking, researching family genealogy, volunteering at the St. Boniface Historical Society, translating, and attending meetings of the Orchid Society. She recently commented to someone that if Roger wanted to go out and stare at rocks for hours, he was welcome. But she had been there, done that, and no more.
I never heard that.
That was very recent.
Oh, I'm learning new things.
And I thought I was the focus.
Pat was the only one of us to live or even travel anywhere outside North America. She traveled all over the world, and through her stories, we traveled with her. She always remembered us and brought back treasures from each country that she lived in. From the time they moved back to Winnipeg in 1981, Pat never willingly missed a family function. Pat assumed the lead role of arranging care and providing transportation for our elderly mother. She brought her to the hairdresser, her doctor's appointments, the Orchid Society meetings, and always took Mom back home from the family gatherings. We all thought that Pat left early because she did not appreciate a good party. But later, she later informed us that she only left early because Mom needed to get home and get her rest. Mother may not always have appreciated Pat's efforts because Mom did enjoy a good party. And did not want to miss anything. Mom commented, "Pat treats me like she is my mother." Pat took on the responsibility of organizing a Sunday morning family breakfast at a restaurant. These breakfasts always included Mom and Pat and anywhere from a handful of family members to a mob of 20 or more. She did this not because she had the time, but because Mother looked forward to it. Pat was never one to sugarcoat anything. And you didn't ask for her opinion unless you were prepared for brutally honesty.
Tell me about it.
I was glad that came from your side of that.
We are all thankful that we had the opportunity to have a family gathering at Pat and Roger's house in July. Pat tolerated our unruly behavior into the late evening. That day will always be a part of our special memories.
Pat will be sadly missed by all.
La vie, c'est comme une valse. À plusieurs temps, nous allons maintenant entendre Jacques Brel.